Hello and welcome back to another episode of It's Always Sunny in Siam. I am your
Siam.
host, Tomato Potato.
Technically, it's called Thailand now, so.
True. But I am your host, King Lugia, etc., etc. And my subjects today are
I am his second in command, Patty, etc., etc., etc.
And I'm an English woman named Mrs. Doubtfire. Nah, I'm Drum Arts. Red Drum Arts. Just call me Red. I don't know. Siam is Thailand. I remember for like the longest time, I was like, what the hell, where the hell even is Siam? And I like looked it up. It was like, oh, it's Thailand. I don't know why they changed it, especially like, 'cause they must have only changed like a few hundred years ago. Like, not even a few hundred years ago. Like, when did Myanmar become changed from Burma? That one threw me off more because like I kind of like knew that Siam was Thailand, but yeah, 1939. That's crazy. Like before, it was like World War II is when they changed it.
Yeah,
That's
the
very
reason
odd.
we're heading to Siam today is because we're talking about the King and I. Before we get to that, though, we have some breaking news. Krabby Patties will reportedly be sold at Wendy's for a limited time this fall.
finally, we will now know the true secret Krabby Patty formula.
What's really funny is when this got
Oh,
announced, I saw a bunch of people in the replies like complaining about the burger they had in the photos because they're like, this is not consistent with all the previous depictions of the Krabby Patty and SpongeBob. And it was like, oh, come on, man. Just like it's not that serious.
It's just for novelty's
I like
sake.
Yeah, they have like a pineapple shake, which I think
It,
that looks like it'd be cool. I feel like I'd enjoy that.
kind of funny. Apparently, the memo said the shake is in honor of SpongeBob's home, and I'm like, yeah, but you're using his home to make it. Where's he gonna live? I guess he could move to the
SpongeBob
Krusty
didn't
Krab
pay
like
his
that one
rent.
episode. This hasn't been confirmed yet. It's just rumor. Wendy's was asked about it, and they said we can't confirm or deny anything. So maybe,
I
but the time frame
think
reportedly
that's
is
true.
October to early November.
I feel like by that point it would be confirmed if they're like not really gonna say anything about it, because if they weren't gonna do it, they would just straight up say, "No, we're not making Krabby Patties."
Yeah, basically an internal memo got leaked. Starting October 8th, it's gonna happen. So yeah, to celebrate the show's 25th anniversary.
Feel old yet?
Huh. Okay, I guess a little,
I
yeah.
mean,
Oh. I just think it's like really funny that SpongeBob's gotten like such like intense revitalized interest in the last like over like the last decade, like because I feel like after the SpongeBob movie, SpongeBob kind of like lost relevance over like the next 10 years. But then suddenly, like 2015, after the second movie, it started getting like an increase in relevance. And I think that's probably because like season like 9 to 12, Steven Hillenburg came back, and I feel like that increased the show's reputation a bit. And apparently, a
the
lot of
show
the
has been like the show has been expanding more. Like they have spin-offs, they have more movies, they had a Broadway show.
Yeah, they have
yeah,
a
and
Patrick
I've
show
The
heard
now,
game got a
right?
yeah,
yeah, like
from
Bikini
what I
Bottom,
know,
Battle
we've
for Bikini
actually
Bottom got
seen
remastered. They're releasing more video games, so it is becoming like more prominent in other aspects.
I think like because Steven Hillenburg came back, like him and like Nickelodeon worked out some deal to like really expand the brand. So that's what happened. And then obviously like a lot of the brand expansions happened after his death, but he was like I know he was involved with Camp Coral. He wasn't involved in the Patrick Star show, but like a bunch of other people were. So I really doubt they would have an issue with it. I've heard good things about the Patrick Star show, mostly because apparently it is storyboard driven. Basically, from what I understand, the Patrick Star Show is they just gave a bunch of animators a blank check to do whatever they wanted, and that's pretty cool. I heard like season one's a bit rough, but I heard like season two onward has been like consistently good, even from diehard haters. So, congrats,
So to go
SpongeBob.
back to this Wendy's thing, you guys think if it's true, you're gonna give it a try?
Nope. Okay, so here's
I'll
the
probably give
thing.
the shake a try.
I'm a picky as hell eater, and Krabby Patties have stuff that I do not like.
I hear you there, but I don't know, maybe like for novelty's sake, I'll be like, yeah,
I've
I'll
gotten
try a Krabby Patty.
I've decided to get more adventurous with like food I've eaten lately because like one time I just like on a whim was like, yeah, fuck it, I'll try this thing, and it was great. I was like, all right, I'm willing to try new stuff now.
Of the three big
I'm
burger
definitely
chains, I do like Wendy's the most, so yeah, sure. All right,
but all right,
so
yeah.
I think that does it for the Wendy's news. And now, gentlemen, it's time for the moment you've been waiting for. The the Sonic 3 movie trailer. It is
finally came out.
here.
Holy shit! We waited how long for this?
I heard speculation all throughout the summer. They said July, and then they were like, all right, August. End of August, we finally have the trailer.
And oh man, it looks promising. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see this now. We're gonna spoil the trailer rotten, but we've all seen the trailer, right?
I haven't, but I don't care. It doesn't
Okay.
matter. Go ahead, spoil it. I made it clear I don't really like these movies that much, so it doesn't bother me. Like learning about it is not going to ruin shit for me. It's fine.
Okay. So we obviously get to hear Keanu Reeves' performance as Shadow, and I think he does a solid job. Keanu Reeves wouldn't really be my first pick for a modern Shadow voice, but it's not a bad choice either.
The one's kind of funny to me. And I don't know why I remember this detail, but in the first one, Sonic directly references Speed, the movie Speed, and says Keanu Reeves is like a national treasure or some shit like that, which is kind of funny to me. But go on,
So it comes full circle.
I guess.
So a couple things I picked up on when watching the trailer. One, Gun themselves are asking Sonic and friends to help stop Shadow, whereas in the events of Adventure 2, everyone thinks that Shadow is Sonic when he steals the Chaos Emerald and
Sonic
he
was
gets like
framed for
news
murder.
coverage. Yeah. Which I'm fine with. I think that was a very stupid plot point in Adventure 2, especially because in the news they have a clear close-up of Shadow. And like by that point, like you should see that that's not Sonic. He's got like red
Sonic is still in
quills,
the
black
Chaos Emerald.
fur.
That's not me!
So I'm glad they're taking a different direction with that. And also, Gerald Robotnik is alive. That caught me off guard.
Also
So
played
here's
by
the thing.
Jim Carrey.
So here's the thing. Do you guys think that he's actually live? Because I saw like I haven't seen the trailer. But I've seen clips from the
Eggman
trailers
literally
around.
meets his grandfather, like
No,
in
that's what I'm
person.
saying. Eggman is fucking crazy. So what are the odds that it's just a Fight Club situation and
That
he's just hallucinating that shit?
that might be true, but we only have the one brief 5-second preview that they gave us, so it's still kind of bizarre that we see him in the flesh as opposed to getting gunned down by a firing squad.
Speaking of gunned down by a firing squad, Maria
Maria,
Robotnik. Was she in the trailer? I don't.
she was
look at it.
briefly. He was just
Oh,
like
okay, cool.
she was like next to the tube that Shadow's in before he gets rocketed off into Earth. So about what
I
you
saw
would
a clip.
expect.
I saw a clip where James Marsden's character was doing the Joel from Last of Us 2 pose. So I think it'd be really funny if he died.
That's what a lot of people are speculating too.
Seeing like someone being like, "Oh, they wouldn't kill someone in a Sonic movie." I'm like, "This is the movie where we're gonna see a child get shot." Like, it probably happened. I think they killed like Sonic's mom or whatever in the first movie. Man, I just remembered Sonic's has like an owl mom in this series. That's okay.
We'll see where it goes from there. For now, I'm looking forward to it.
It looks like it could be fun. I do admire the bit of the darker tone they're going for, which does make sense, considering Adventure 2. Also, I noticed there's a blink and you miss it. There's a brief appearance of Chow.
Where?
Okay, cool.
It's in one of the. It's a very quick moment, but Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are in like this club, and you can see like there's like a bunch of Chow around them, like mascot costume Chow.
I don't think I noticed that.
Like it was like 1 second. I wonder is that like a casino or like a themed gift shop or something? I don't know. It does say Chow Garden up top, so Chow Garden confirmed for Sonic 3.
Finally, they're bringing it back. Not in the way we want, but they're bringing it back. All right, so is that everything?
Everything that caught my attention, at least in terms of weekly news.
All right. So, The King and I, at least this version of The King and I, was released on June 28th, 1956, and it was directed by Walter Lang, which was based off of the original 1951 musical by Richard Rodgers and Oscar Hammerstein II, which was also based off of the 1944 novel Anna and the King of Siam by Margaret Landon. And there's also like 3 other versions of this movie, but we're not going to talk about those. We're just going to be strictly talking about the 1956 version, which I assume we all saw.
Yeah, obviously. What? Yeah, just showing up here is like, I didn't see the movie. I just wanted to be here, fellas. Yeah, no,
I'm just happy to be here.
yeah. Have you guys ever are you guys familiar with any other versions of this? Out of
No.
curiosity.
I've
Okay, so I guess I
never
am.
seen The King
Alright.
and I prior to this point. It was a musical I only knew by name. I had never seen it. I had never listened to any of the music. It just never caught my
Okay.
interest.
So I haven't seen well, I've seen this before, but not like I saw the animated one, the really shitty animated one that's really bad, and don't watch it. It's terrible. It's fucking awful. It's so bad.
What year was it
But anyway,
released?
1999.
99.
Okay.
It's so bad. It's like it's generally like one of the worst. It's so bad. But anyway, and because of that, I actually looked up things about like the original story, and the original book is kind of interesting. Most people in Thailand fucking hate it because they think it greatly mischaracterizes the king, and there's a lot of historical scholars kind of question the veracity of the claims in the book, but it makes an entertaining story, so whatever. Yeah, just like brass tacks, none of this shit is true. We're just gonna treat this like a fictional story because it is. There's a few characters in here from Burma, and every time I hear Burma, I just like think of that speech from like The Dark Knight. It was like, I was in Burma a long time ago. I was in Burma. Me and my friends, we were in Burma. We were working for local Burma. We're trying to buy loyalty of the Burma leaders. I was in Burma. All right, sorry. The King and I, the King of Siam.
So The King and I had a budget of $4.55 million and made about 21 million. So for the time, this was like a lot of money. I don't know what the current exchange rate would be now, but it made about
It was a
like
hit.
5 times. Yeah.
Critical commercial success, and it got like what 9 Oscars? Nominated for 9 Oscars. It won 5.
And I guess some fun facts. So, since the musical was not really too far away from this movie's production, they wanted to get the cast from the musical to play their characters for this film. Most notable would have been Gertrude Lawrence, who played Anna in the musical, but unfortunately, she passed away due to cancer and they had to find somebody else. Dinah Shore was originally going to play Anna, but Yul Brynner himself, who was also in the musical and he played the king, suggested Deborah Kerr instead, and she got the role of Anna. And Anna's singing voice would have been done by Maureen O'Hara, but it eventually went to Marnie Nixon. They've only had to do separate singing actors for 3 of the characters, Anna being the most notable one, but I forget what the other 2 are.
I always thought it was kind of funny how common this practice was back in the day. Just because like one of the most famous music of all time, "Singing in the Rain," is about how that's bad. That movie came out before this one. What also was really funny is like I think Singing in the Rain is one of the best movies of all time. I absolutely adore it, but also I disagree. Quite frankly, I've seen musicals where the actress just can't sing. Because here's the thing, that's what I find out. They would a lot of Hollywood movies rather just hire a bad singer than hire a good singer. If the bad singer's more famous. Like I've heard so many bad musicals, I'm like, nah, man, just fucking dub it. Like, just please dub it. I can't. Emma Watson, Beauty and the Beast. It's kills me inside.
And
I
just
have a random question for you guys.
what?
How familiar are you with Rodgers and Hammerstein?
Not too familiar.
Decently, like I know of them. I'm pretty sure I've seen some of their plays. Let me just look up them, which ones they did. Never mind. I've never seen anything they've made except The King and I.
Really?
I'm looking it up right now.
Uh, The Sound of Music is obviously their magnum opus. That's the one everyone knows. But I have not seen it. And I know Oklahoma's pretty big, but I've not seen Oklahoma.
I've seen Oklahoma. I didn't really like it though.
Let's see. Rogers and Hammerstein were the first people to ever get an EGOT. Oh no, Rogers was. Hammerstein didn't for some reason. It's kind of lame, but all right.
Yeah, aside from this in
My
Oklahoma,
experience,
that's it.
my experience with Rodgers and Hammerstein, I've seen Oklahoma, I've seen South Pacific, I've seen Cinderella, and I think I've seen Sound the Music all the way through. I've definitely seen pieces of it thanks to my mom, but I can't remember if I've seen it all the way.
I've not seen The Sound of Music, but just through like cultural osmosis and just like stuff I've seen on TV, I've seen like clips of it a lot. I know that one song, and I'm sure there's another song in there I know.
So, a deer, a female deer. Don't know Do Re Mi.
Okay, I know Do Re Mi, but it's like, what's that? The song I'm humming is like.
That sounds familiar.
I
Oh, my favorite things. That's what it was. My
Oh, okay. I
favorite
wasn't
things.
I wasn't getting that through the microphone.
Sorry.
All right. All right, not your fault.
There's something, there's something, there's something.
Raindrops on
Yeah,
roses
so I
and
know a few.
whiskers on.
Okay, so I know their songs more than I know their actual like plays, because like I remember watching like when I was watching this, like when I got to that getting to know you, I was like I heard this song before, and then I realized like, and it wasn't just because like it was in the other movie, like I know the Bing Crosby cover. I've heard like the Bing Crosby cover before, just like on the radio when I like put on the oldie station or whatever. So I was like, oh shit. Which is something that happens often. I remember one time listening to a Beatles album and I was like, this song sounds really familiar. And then I realized it was a song from The Music Man. No, when I watched The Music Man, I was like, this song sounds really familiar. And I realized the Beatles covered it in one of their albums. Sorry, I got that backwards. That's kind
What
of
exactly
interesting.
is the King and I about,
Actually,
Lugia?
I have one more fun fact.
All right, go for it.
Okay.
There were some songs from the musical that were cut. So those songs being "Shall I Tell You What I Think of You," "I Have Dreamed," and "My Lord and Master." These were not in the film. There was supposed to be like a 50th anniversary release that promised to like have these songs like that were intended for the film in or just as like an extra, but I think "Shall I Tell You What I Think of You" was the only one that they put in. And yeah, that's it for the fun facts. So, what exactly is The King and I about? The year is 1862 in Bangkok, Siam. An English school teacher named Anna and her son leave a boat to Siam. Siam. Bleh. I want to say Siam so badly, but I can't. Apparently that's wrong. An English school teacher named Anna and her son uh leave their boat and begin their new life in Siam as she is working for the king to teach his one of many children the English language. And by many, I mean I think like near the end of the film he says he has like 100 or something. Most of the film is technically like a romantic drama and also slightly a comedy. Like there are some antics that the king and Anna get into, but there's also some matters that they need to attend to, like how the West sees the king as a barbarian, so they need to put on a party to just keep his reputation up and not have them invade. And then everything goes well. The relationship between the king and Anna becomes a little more romantic until it doesn't, because he treats one of his wives poorly. He gets criticized once, and then he dies. The end. And that's kind of the king and I in a very vague description.
So, Lugia, you said when you chose this movie, you said this is one of those movies you saw with your
Yeah,
grandmother, but
this
never
was
saw all
just
the way
yeah,
through.
this was just like the firm. I remember I caught the movie on TV as soon as they were doing the interpretation of Uncle Tom's Cabin, and
Oh, so
then
So like
you've
the
only
last
seen the second
act.
act.
yeah, pretty much.
That was
Or
going to
like
be
the
my next
second act. That's like
question.
the third act.
Seeing it all the way through, Lugia, what did you think?
Honestly, I really liked it. I was not expecting this movie to be as funny as it was. Like, it's not a laugh out loud funny, but like, there was times where I genuinely got like a really good chuckle out of it, mainly from Yul Brynner's performance as the king. Like, I love him in this role.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah, like Brass Tacks, Yul Brynner steals the show. He's like the best part of the play for me. The movie for me. He's great. Like him and like like their banter is I think like the real whatchamacallit highlight of the thing. Like every time they share a scene together, I think is great. And I do kind of like the general things with Anna and teaching the kids,
And they don't believe that snow is real or that Siam is smaller than.
and I like how many of like their misunderstandings like kind of come back together in the Uncle Tom's Cabin like section, that play thing. I'm gonna be honest, that whole Uncle Tom's Cabin part of the play, I think that's the climax to me. Like that's the best it gets. The movie already had good like art direction and set design, but like it really like gets to like another level there. And one thing about that segment that actually kind of like ironically, like because they did it really well, it made me kind of notice that like the rest of the play didn't do it well. But there's like a lot of like kind of fun choreography and like dancing in that segment, and I realized that and I actually rewinded to make sure that I wasn't crazy, but like none of the other musical sequences like have that. It's just a lady singing. It's just a character singing, and there's no like real theatricality to it. I was like, huh, that's kind of
Yeah, I
weird
noticed
because like
like when the king does his first musical number, it's just him in a room, not really moving. He's just singing.
yeah, like I'd say that's probably like my biggest criticism is that like while like the acting's great, I think the story and comedy is great, and I think that like segment is great. I don't think this is like all that well directed. I think it's like just pretty flat.
I think as a musical, it leaves a lot to be desired. Like if you remove the musical aspect from it and like some of the musical numbers, I think you have like a really solid premise here. It's just that it
Yeah,
feels like the
and what's
musical
really funny,
sequences were tacked on.
yeah, and what's really funny is that already exists. This book got a film adaptation before the musical even like existed. Anna and the King of Siam. So I'm kind of curious on what that like though at the same time I really like the music. Like it's not like I don't want it, but yeah, it's kind of interesting.
So,
Now,
if
yeah,
I can give
you're the musical man.
my
What do you
piece,
what did you think?
I am the musical guy around here. So, I previously said, The King and I is a show I only knew by name. I never saw it or listened to it. Nothing against it, it just never caught my interest. So I went into this thinking, all right, let's see what we got here. And I quite liked it. I thought it was very charming and very, very pretty. Like, my God, the colors just pop. The songs were okay. I really liked everything with Anna and the King. It was surprisingly funny. Got a few decent chuckles. It is a bit outdated in certain aspects, but overall, I did enjoy it.
I would say like the only song that I really remember and liked was "Shall We Dance," where like the king and the Anna are just like dancing after they had the party and before he gets criticized and dies.
It's weird because the song that sticks in my head is the instrumental that plays when Anna meets the children for the first time. I don't know
The
why.
score is really good.
The one song without lyrics is the one that sticks in my head. I have no idea why.
It's a good score. I'm pretty sure like it actually
I just
won the
really like
Oscar
that
for best
scene. You
score.
know, all the kids come out, they bow to her, but like you can see, they have individual personalities.
Then more of them keep showing it, and you're like, how many children does this guy have?
I like the teaching stuff. I like the that main prince kid. Like I thought he was pretty good. Maybe it's just because I've been like watching other like stuff like this, but like I don't know, just like the spoiled kid who kind of like learns his lesson is oddly like a character arc I didn't realize I found so compelling. You know, at the end when he's like, because like at the start, you know, you see him, he's like, "Oh, Siam is the biggest country in the world. It's the center." He's like, they even like mentioned that he's like oddly like more traditionalist than his father is, but then like by the end, he's ends up being like much more forward thinking, and I thought that was like that was pretty compelling. I also do like the king's like death scene where he's like actually like willing to let go of the reins to his kids, and then you know we see him just sort of like pass away while like no one else is paying attention, and then like I don't know, I thought that was all really good. Again, I think like the heart of the film is the king, and like there's like two
Yeah.
hearts almost, like there's the king and everything he's doing, then Anna and like all her teaching stuff, and like they all kind of tie together really well. Again, like I think this is a pretty well written like drama.
There
My only
is
criticism is just I don't think it's all that well directed. I think it's a pretty kind of boring in terms of like filmmaking. Like I think this would be like a great play as a movie though. Like I don't think like it really does like that much in with the medium,
It's like just a way
except
to
that
get the
Uncle Tom's
musical
Cabin
in
segment.
film form, basically, and they just don't
Yeah,
really expand
it just feels
upon
like they
that.
just kind of recorded a play. Yeah. The exception,
there
of course,
is
is that is the Uncle Tom's Cabin section, which I think is does actually kind of use the medium. But yeah,
this movie is pretty laser focused on the relationship between Anna and the king. There is a light side plot with one of the wives being in love with somebody else. I'll be honest, I did not care for that. Like, I get it's important to Anna and the king's
yeah.
relationship, but it's only in two scenes, and I'm wondering, is it further expanded upon in the play? Because here I'm not feeling it at all.
It kind
Probably
of feels
again
like all that.
they did cut out
Yeah,
three songs, so there were probably more scenes that were in the play that are not in the film.
the thing that bothered me too about that kind of side plot is that like not only is it just like not that focused on. Here's the thing: I'm actually kind of glad it's not that focused on. I just wish it was focused on even less. Is just because it's such a generic kind of plot. Like that's kind of like you see that in like so many musicals and like particularly like ones like this, where it's like, oh, the princess or no, not the, but like the forbidden love thing is like so played out, and I feel like they don't really do anything interesting with it. Where everything else is actually like pretty unique, and like I haven't seen stuff like this as much. Where like again, the king is like such a unique character. Where like he's got this kind of like all these characters are kind of like set in their ways, but they also do have this kind of like natural curiosity, and because of that, they kind of question. And all the Abraham Lincoln stuff I thought was kind of interesting. I always thought that was kind of funny.
You see, Abraham
Also, that
Lincoln
was
can't
kind of
win the Civil War because he doesn't have elephants.
Because of
also that
Chucky.
immediately I was like, oh, so this is when it takes place, because like I couldn't like tell what like time period it took place in, and then it was like Abe Lincoln. I was like, oh, 1800s.
Well,
I
they
was like,
literally
right.
tell you in the beginning it's
Yeah, there's
1862.
a timestamp at the beginning.
I wasn't paying attention.
Also, to go back to the
It's not that
characters,
like
this is
I knew it took place in the 1800s, but it's like it's kind of like hard to forget that. Oh, right, like America was like in its own like separate thing, because like it's so like funny thing about like that the American West was happening the same time as like England was still in like ball and gown and stuff, and like all these other countries were still in like their kind of like feudalist monarch thing. When we were like having presidents and we're like doing cowboys like robbing shit, and like it's like it's so like funny just thinking about like how this feels very feudal. Like, they're still like they aren't using guns or whatever. They're still like, to the sword and whatnot. And it's kind of just funny like thinking about how like rapidly Asia changed.
one more thing I want to say going back to the characters. This is completely minor, but where was Anna's son during everything? At the beginning of the movie,
Yeah, he like showed up.
like,
I remember when he like showed
he's,
up at
he's
the
at the
end. I was
beginning,
like, oh, fuck,
and
I
then he's at
thought
the
you
end,
were
and
here.
I'm like, oh yeah, you. Why were you here?
Is he just
Yeah, like,
living rent
maybe
free
he got
in the
stuff by himself.
palace?
He's just like wandering. He's not even like in
He's
like the
just
lessons.
gone.
Like you think like that she would like teach her own kids some shit, but like I don't know, I guess not. Yeah, her son just
Also, they
doesn't
do
get an
establish in
education,
the
I guess.
beginning that Anna whistles like when she's afraid. I thought they'd do more with that,
No, they
but like they
don't.
only have it for that one song.
They do a
Maybe
little more in the animated version. Do I know what happens in the animated version?
What happens in the animated version?
Okay, so at the start when we meet that like advisor to the king, he's
yeah.
Yeah,
that character. So in the animated
Vizier.
version, he's an evil sorcerer wizard who wants to overthrow the king. So he sends a dragon to attack Anna's ship, and Anna whistling and twirling makes the dragon go away.
Are you fucking kidding me?
What?
I'm not kidding. The animated version is so fucking bad. Do you know what's really funny? The "Getting to Know You" song. That sequence. Do you know what in the anime version what's happening? All the comic relief
What?
characters are having a bunch of slapstick. Anna's not on screen. It's just like a bunch of animated like slapstick shit, and then that music's like in the background. I was like, this is the most baffling fucking play I've ever seen. Oh, also, the king
What?
doesn't die in the animated version. The king doesn't die, and Anna stays, and the king and Anna are just like together. So yeah.
This version sounds
Actually,
akin to the fucking animated Titanic movies where the Titanic doesn't sink and everything's okay.
Yes, exactly. It's so
actually, to
bad.
talk about the ending for a second, I was actually curious how exactly was this going to end? Because I knew they wouldn't end up together because he's king and he has like multiple wives. So I was curious: is she gonna stay? Are they gonna?
Yeah.
What
Like
did you guys
especially
think was
'cause
gonna happen?
Well, I knew
well,
what
here's the thing,
happened, so
I knew it was based on, like, a true story, and I'm like, I feel like I would've, like and, like, I know she came back and wrote a book, so I knew she wasn't gonna stay together, but, like, I was wondering what was gonna happen to King. Like, I didn't think the King was gonna die, especially because, the animated version I watched, he didn't die, so but, like, I just assumed that, like, her staying was, like, what the, animated version changed. I didn't realize that, like, the King didn't die in the original play too, but yeah.
I thought it was
So
gonna
yeah, I
end
guess
where like Anna's leaving on the boat and the king is staying in his castle, and it'd be like a split screen thing where like they're both singing like the same song, like even though they're far apart.
have you ever yeah, yeah.
I don't know.
The
I thought
fucking,
that's what they were
Krusty
gonna go with.
Krab Krusty Krab was like SpongeBob and Mr.
A
Krabs
grill is
singing
a
each other.
grill.
No, I was thinking it might be similar to that. Have you ever seen? Okay, I know you haven't seen this. So to the weebs in the audience listening to this, the Alabasta arc at the end of One Piece. I thought it was gonna be like that, where like how like Vivi's like has to stay with the kingdom, but she waves off Luffy and the crew goodbye. I thought it was gonna be something similar to that, and like there'd be some sort of like signal like indicate their friendship or something, like maybe he whistles something, or I don't know, something like that. But nope, he dies. But again, I really like the ending. I thought like that was handled really well. So
Going back to the set design real quick,
Oh my god, this movie is gorgeous.
a lot of like gold
Yeah,
in the palace, but also I really like the opening with the dock and how the background is like a painted. Well, it's just painted.
I hate.
And wait, what?
No, I hate how Technicolor is like is pretty much dead because goddamn Technicolor is so good and like it's the colors here are really like emphasized.
I love how each set has like a prominent color to it. Like the dock has blue, the entrance to the castle has
Yeah.
yellow, the wives' room has pink.
What
Like
I like.
every scene has like a color
Yeah.
that pops to it, and it's just wonderful.
What I like about the set design compared to like some other sets I've seen is that like they all got a distinct color, but it still feels like a real location. Or like I've seen like other plays where like it's got like it looks great, it's got a great color, but like it's so like abstract, it doesn't seem like a real place that anyone would ever like live in. Here it does feel real, but just also just looks so grand. Um
Yeah, like you do get a sense of the scale, especially when that sequence where they're walking to the palace.
yeah.
And
I
even with
appreciate
the
like
It
the
just
painted
wide
feels
shot.
backgrounds,
larger
like
than
they still
life.
create like this sense of
I
depth.
do
Like there's so much more space than there really is. Like in the palace when Anna's teaching the children, the background is still just a painted wall, but it feels like there's so much more out there than there really is. It honestly feels like a play turned into a movie, and at least for this instance, it works really well.
Yeah, I criticized the filmmaking earlier, but I do think like they made a smart choice of like keeping everything like somewhat wide shots just so you can get like a you can see the whatchamacallit, the sets all well. I just kind of wish they like moved the camera a bit. Like again, to bring up like Singing in the Rain, that was like 4 years older and it has like a similar thing with like the great colors and sets, but like they just do so much more filmically with it. When I feel like this one is kind of like a little antiquated, although like even with the antiquated quality, it's still like very impressive. But yeah, ultimately, I give this a thumbs up. I recommend it.
Like I said, I really did enjoy this one. It's more of this is a me thing. It's just kind of a shame that other than that one instrumental piece, none of the songs really stuck with me. They weren't bad by any means, just I wasn't left humming anything else.
I
Maybe in
would
due time,
recommend
maybe in due time I'll
listening
remember
to
the
the
music
Bing
more, but
Crosby. I do recommend listening to the Bing Crosby cover of "Getting to Know You" because I do think that one's pretty good.
And I'm really glad that I ended up liking this, even though before I only saw like half of the, not even half of this movie back then. Again, as a musical, not really a whole lot to entertain you here, but the writing itself I thought was really good. And again, Yul Brynner
Yeah,
is the heart and soul of this.
as a drama, pretty good. As a musical, but you know,
Overall,
it's
a,
still
as a
a
pretty
good
music,
good.
watch.
yeah, as a musical, it leaves some things to be desired. But like as a drama, it is compelling,
Yeah, and
and I am
the
actually
lead
curious to see the
performances.
stage show one day.
It's worth watching for the lead performances.
The performances and the gorgeous colors.
Looks like it's your turn to recommend, Patty.
What do you got?
That it is. Okay, so I've thought about this for some time, and I think it's time we head back to a certain director that we've only given the spotlight to once. And that one time, we looked at arguably their most well known live action film. This time, we're flipping it around and looking at one of their lesser known animated films. Up next, we're returning to Richard Linklater with A Scanner Darkly.
I feel like
I
I've
have
heard
never
of this one
seen that.
before.
I've heard it. I've never
I've
seen it.
never seen it.
I was
I've
actually
never
I
actually
was
seen any
just
of his
talking
animated films.
I was just talking to my friend about A Scanner Darkly yesterday because they were talking about how it's kind of crazy that Alex Jones is in the movie. This was like before he became like really crazy. This was because like in the 2000s he was just like some wacky dude from Austin, and this was a movie like about like Richard Linklater is from Texas, so he loves to kind of like add a lot of like Texas texture to it. And it was like, oh yeah, the crazy radio guy. Let's have him make a cameo in the flick because like back then he wasn't like saying like the kind of shit that he
10
says
years
now.
later.
And Keanu Reeves is in this too. That's topical.
So I haven't seen A Scanner Darkly, but I have seen his other animated flick, Apollo 10 and a half, and I really like Apollo 10 and a half. So I'm very curious to see what this is like.
And as I
I
said,
believe
I've
this is
never
like
seen any of his animated films, but I am
yeah.
curious.
From what I heard, this is like an adaptation of like a Philip K. Dick novel, right?
It is. Apparently, it's very
Have we
faithful, but I've never read the book.
Have we talked about Philip K. Dick here before?
I don't believe so.
Maybe
Blade-
once in
Have,
passing, but
have we
never
done
dedicated
Blade
anything.
Runner?
No.
Have we done Blade Runner yet?
Mm-mm.
No.
Have we done Total Recall?
No.
No.
Have we done Minority Report?
No.
No.
Wow. Okay, this is
And
our
before
first
you
Philip K.
ask
Dick.
before you ask another movie, the answer's no.
You know, I just figured like I might have talked about Blade Runner or Minority Report at some point. I don't remember.
Again,
Like,
you've probably brought him up in passing, but just passing.
no, like I feel like I thought I might have recommended Blade Runner or Minority Report. That's what I'm saying. I was like, did I ever recommend Blade Runner? I was like, I guess not. We've talked about Linklater before, right?
Dazed and Confused.
Right. Oh, Dazed and Confused, not School of Rock. Okay. I thought we did School of Rock. All right, never mind. One of these days we're gonna have to do the Before trilogy. Maybe not all at once. I actually feel like I know we tend to talk about trilogies at once, but I feel like the Before trilogy might actually be better for us to talk about like one at a time. So yeah. Anyways, cool. Scanner Darby.
All right, so this has been It's Always Sunny in Siam. Thank you, everybody, for listening. And we will see you next week, etc., etc., etc.